In the English language, you would use maternal or paternal to denote if a grandparent is on the mother's side or the father's side. In the Vietnamese language, you use Ngoại or Ngoại in the same way. Ngoại is maternal and Ngoại is paternal. In this video, I would like to talk about my bà nội while I eat mod pizza. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tony. The first time I was introduced to unlimited toppings for a single price pizza was Pieology. Shortly after, mod pizza came out. I always thought mod pizza was copying Pieology, but in researching for this video, I found out that mod pizza came out 3 years earlier than Pieology. Today, I ordered the mod, an 11-inch thin crust pizza with unlimited toppings. For the base, I got spicy tomato sauce, then mozzarella and feta cheeses. I got extra bacon, extra pepperoni, extra chopped basil, extra roasted corn, extra bell peppers, extra pickled jalapeños, extra red onions, extra roasted red peppers, topped with sweet barbecue, and sides of Mike's hot honey and ranch, cooked extra spicy. Let's look at it together for the first time. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Very colorful. It also came with a free no-name cake. I think it's like a ho-ho type thing from Hostess. Here's the hot honey and the ranch. I also got some chili flakes and Parmesan. All right, let's get eating. Have a good meal. Ooh. I'm gonna pour some hot honey on this piece just to see how it tastes. Ooh, That might be too much. This was like $3 something, but they gave it to me free when I signed up on the app. This is a ho-ho, right? Like the Hostess ho-ho. I think that's what it was called. Let's take a bite and try it. Definitely a chocolate lover's treat. It's not for me though. So I think I would not buy this unless they gave it to me free again. So I'd give it a 1. The pizza though, I'll give it a 2. It's not that I don't like it. It's just something I probably wouldn't go out of my way just to get. But in a pinch, if I wanted my own personal size pizza and I didn't want to share it with anyone, I'd probably go here. Unless there's a Whole Foods close by, I'd probably go there instead. All right, that's my review. I'm gonna finish this and then get to my story. The hot honey, actually, initially I didn't like it, but it kind of built up on me. It's not too bad. Let's get a ranch bite. Ooh. The ranch doesn't taste homemade. It tastes like it came out of a bottle or something. I'm using a new app to read my script instead of looking down to the paper and trying to memorize my lines. So you might see that my eyes are not completely focused on the camera. Let me know if you prefer it this way or the old way. My Ngoại passed away shortly after we immigrated to the US, so I have no memories of her. My Noi lived in Washington State for a few years before moving to San Jose. I only recall visiting them once while they were in Washington. I consider my dad to be an authoritarian. It was always his way or no way. Because my grandmother was not around, I assumed she was like him. He told me how his parents sent him away to a French boarding school, and he was only allowed to come home a few days each year. He liked playing basketball and would wear out his athletic shoes, so he would beg his mom for new ones, but only got one new pair each year. The picture he painted for me was of a strict and uncaring mother, similar to how I saw my father. When I heard she was moving to San Jose, I was scared. When I first saw them when they moved back to the Bay Area, she was so tiny. She had a lazy eye and spoke with a raspy voice from years of smoking, which she still continued doing. Her teeth were stained dark, something I guess women her age did back in the day. She was basically a tiny pirate woman to me. This is a huge slice. My grandparents were devout Catholics. They went to church every morning, sometimes a couple times a day. The story goes, my grandfather was in seminary school, but either could not make it and then met my grandmother, or met my grandmother and left the seminary. That part was lost in translation, but it sounds very Hallmark movie-ish. My Ngoại, or parental grandfather, was very strict and unfriendly. like my father. For years, I felt like he never noticed me. But my grandmother was the opposite. I found her to be such a sweet and gentle soul. She did not speak much. But even when she did, she had an accent that I was not used to hearing. My mother was raised in South Vietnam, so she had a Nam or South accent. Most Vietnamese you run into in the US speak with this accent, as most refugees fleeing Vietnam in the 70s and 80s came from the South. My grandmother came from Central Vietnam. She had a Hue accent, considered by some to be difficult to understand. Somehow, my father's accent was more similar to my mother's, except for a few times when he was talking to his parents or siblings. Unfortunately, I avoided speaking to her during my early years. We had a language barrier as well as a generational and cultural barrier. I was trying to be as whitewashed as I could when we were young. My parents wanted us to learn to speak Vietnamese through the church on Saturdays, but my sister and I ignorantly refused. I say ignorantly because we didn't know better. The ignorance continues to this day because my wife and I did not put our daughters in Vietnamese school, although we probably should have. So far, even though the teleprompter app seems to help me read and remember what I was going to say, I don't like not looking at the camera, so I'll have to figure out something. Hopefully this video is not completely ruined. All right, with chili flakes and Parmesan. Last piece. My Banoi used to refer to my cousins and I as My Lai, or half American. In America, they were referred to as Amerasian, what they would call children of soldiers and Vietnamese women during the Vietnam War. It wasn't until my mom's side of the family came to the US in the early 90s did I start to speak Vietnamese more fluently. That allowed me to communicate more with my Banoi. She started to open up and tell me stories about my father growing up and how he would get into so much trouble with his older brother. She told me how when the two of them came home from boarding school, they would tie up and torture their younger brother because he was allowed to stay home and didn't have to live at the school like them. By the way, that uncle that used to get tortured by my dad and his older brother said the school was just down the block from their house. He said they could literally look out the window and see their home and siblings, but because it was a strict Catholic boarding school, they were not allowed to leave. He said my dad used to sneak out of the school to come back home when he was homesick. This might be good with something hot like a hot tea. Or maybe milk. Not hot milk, but just milk. My grandmother was diagnosed with lung cancer in early 1997 and died a few months later. During those final months of my grandmother's life, the family would spend any available time with her. I got engaged during that time. I was hoping to get married while she was still alive so she could be at my wedding. Let me step back for a second and explain something. In traditional Vietnamese culture, the oldest grandson of the oldest son was referred to as Cháu Đích Tông. It signifies the position as the primary male heir responsible for carrying on the family line and traditions. Because my dad's older brother did not have a son, the title fell to me. In the US, it's not as used, known, or cared for much. To my grandparents, it still meant something. Since I only have daughters, it now passes to my dad's younger brother's son's son to carry on the family name. That side story really doesn't have any significance to this story other than to say I may have felt compelled to get married even before I was ready. When I was not at school or work, I was spending time with my Banoi. I neglected my fiancée. She was not Vietnamese, so she felt out of place among my family, even though my cousins from that side of the family were Americanized. After my Banoi passed away, we would continue to go to my Ông Noi's house to spend time with him and help him grieve. Prior to us celebrating my grandmother's 100th day passing, my fiancée broke up with me. I don't fully blame her, but looking back, I'm glad she did because I wanted to break up with her, but did not have it in me to do it. Maybe she sensed it and broke up with me first. I remember my Banoi in my prayers, as I do for my other grandparents and family members that have passed. I wish someone would have taken the time to record her telling stories in her own voice and words. That is something I hope to do for my daughters. Capture their grandparents' life's experiences in videos so their story can be heard long after they're gone. Very few people have stories worth reading in history books, but everyone has a story worth hearing from those that care about them. Every family has stories that shaped who they are. Thank you for sharing this meal and story with me. I appreciate you. It's never too late to go out and make it a wonderful day. I will see you in my next video. Bye now. It's like wiping my butt. Every time I wipe, there's still more chocolate in my mouth.